Welcome back to Espresso Yourself, Mom, Teacher, and a Runner Talk, the podcast where lesson plans meet lattes and long runs.
Four women juggling the journey of motherhood, teaching, professional goals, and a whole lot of caffeine.
We keep it real, the messy, the meaningful, and the moments in between.
So grab your coffee and join us for honest conversations, a few laughs, and a reminder that you're not in this alone.
Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Allyson, and I'm here with Becky, Rachel, and Katie, your fellow chaos coordinators, caffeine consumers, and classroom warriors. Today we're going to talk about the myth of teacher summer breaks. What teachers really do over summer. We're going to talk about mom life, our running schedules, and everything in between. Because the rest of the world thinks that we're just lounging by the poolside for 8 to 10 weeks and sleeping in. But the reality is we're off to doing PDs, planning for the upcoming school year, running our kids here and there, and trying to squeeze in those runs. So come along as we talk about the truth of our summer break.
So we are more than halfway through the summer. Has anyone done any PDs this summer?
Yes. I've actually given at least like 5 or 6, and I've gone to a 4-day training in Dallas. And so it's been a lot. I really think like I haven't seen much of summer. It's been just like PD after PD after PD. And whether it be like I'm giving it or I'm taking it. What I will say though is the ones that I'm taking, they were okay. I think I've enjoyed like giving PD more.
So for those of you who don't know, because we haven't talked about it a lot, Katie's in a new role where she is going to get to lead PDs. And for those of you who are not in the education world, PD, well, actually teachers, anyone in education uses acronyms all the time. It's basically another language that we use. So throughout this podcast, we're going to explain what those acronyms are. So PD stands for professional development. It's any meetings we have, it's any trainings we go to or lead. So Katie's in a really interesting role now that she gets to teach other teachers about what's going on in her district.
So my like formal title is District Instructional Technology Specialist. So like DTIS. So pretty much like I was like telling somebody, it was like the ed tech world, just think that I'm over all of education technology for the district. And like I'm over how it's like incorporated and pushed out. And then I train K through 12 teachers how to use it. And then I can also help students as well.
You're going to be a great resource for me as a new cyber charter school teacher. So I'll definitely be picking your brain because that's a whole new world for me.
So one of the questions I got when I interviewed for this position was, where do you get your resources from? Like, where do you find out like what's new and everything? And I was like, oh, articles, social media. And then I said TikTok. And I think I kind of threw one of my interviewers off, and they were like,
it's true though.
I was like, oh my gosh.
There's a lot of great
okay,
stuff
I have to forget. I TikTok, but like, so I kind of had to explain it because like, if people aren't familiar with TikTok, they just think like crazy, silly videos. And I'm like, no, like Google and then Canva and Google Education. Like I had to explain that they upload videos on like how to use all these tools. And so at first she was like, I was like, no, like it's really resourceful. I'm not just like scrolling TikTok all day. I'm like, so I had to clarify.
There is a huge teacher following on TikTok. I feel like there are so many teachers out there. And I love watching teacher TikToks. I love when teachers create those funny reels and memes. I told my coworkers that, so I like just started doing this whole TikTok stuff because trying to promote the podcast and trying to make these reels, I went from like no TikTok posts to like a ton in a week's time. And I'm having so much fun doing it. And I told my coworkers, you better be ready because when the school year starts, you are making TikTok reels with me because I find it to be so much fun watching other teachers be goofy and stupid on there. And I just want to do that too with them. I get a lot of like resources and ideas from social media. Like we'll come to team meetings and oh my gosh, I saw this on And I never can remember if I saw it on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. And I'm always like, I saw it on one of the socials. One of the socials.
Yeah,
And
me too.
that's where I
Me
get so
too.
many
I
great
wish we could get
ideas.
PT hours from, TikToking and Instagramming, but there are a lot of great webinars. I use
My
a
God.
platform called edweb.net. Have any of you ever been on that one? And I found some good ones. There was one about like mental health and using affirmations with your students. I really enjoyed that one, but I've been doing a lot of webinars this summer. I can listen to them while I'm, momming and cleaning and cooking and folding clothes. Or in the car driving my kids back and forth. So it's definitely easy to get my PD in that way.
Yeah, so by the time this episode airs, I will have been back, but I am going to the coolest professional development. So it's kind of interesting. One of my friends a couple of years ago won this award, and she was granted $5,000. And she said, I don't know like the intricacies of what she was supposed to use it for, but we are going to a Broadway teachers workshop in New York, and we're going to work with Broadway stars. I'm just like I've not processed it yet, but we get professional development hours for it, like 20 or 30 hours to go and take these dance classes. And I'm most excited for ensemble singing because I'm the music director for our theater club at school. But like promoting shows and meeting with people, and we get to go to 4 Broadway shows, and we get like 20 or 30 hours towards our next licensure. And
that's a dream.
I'm like mind
Yeah, get us
Go to that meeting.
Do you get to go see Wicked?
What shows are you guys going to go watch?
There are shows that are lesser known. So there's a Stranger Things show. I think that's the only non-musical. And we're going to see Gypsy and a couple others, but I like can't remember them because they're not like, we're not going to see The Lion King or Aladdin or
Or
whatever. Or Wicked. Oh my God.
Right?
So it's just tomorrow we're gonna go and sightsee, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we just have stuff all day, and it's just like everything, just networking and something outside of the realm of the classroom, yet everything that you can use in the classroom, and it's all paid for.
And it's got to be so much more engaging and interactive than most of our PDs that we go throughout the year, where we're just sitting in hour-long meetings and we are hearing stuff that we've already heard 1,000 times. Like, those are the worst
They're more often than
PDs.
not.
So I look forward to summer ones because they tend to be more engaging.
So can I tell y'all a funny phrase? And it's so funny that I ended up saying it in my interview as well. And I was like, well, this phrase may have just blown it for me. And luckily it didn't. And I think I made some people laugh. But I heard this like a couple years ago when I went to a PD. And I've kind of taken it in the back of my head. So like when I give PDs, I try to do a really good job of not letting people sit for longer than like 45 minutes. Like if it's an all day training, like they're sitting for max 45, I try to do 35, and they get up and they move around and they do something. And so the phrase is, when the booty goes numb, the brain goes dumb.
I like
And
that.
I said it in my interview and I was like, oh, well, this is me. Like,
So true.
they will know that.
Yeah, like a go noodle break. Like, our booties are numb, so let's stand up and dance. Wake up a little bit. I love that. I'll have to remember that.
Giving PDs for so long, because I've been doing this like in our district on a smaller scale for a few years now. Any type of training, that's kind of like a mentality I've kept of like, no, like I can't let these people, sit for too long, get too bored. Like I want them to be able to walk away with something, but not like do the, glazed over, kind of like Ferris Bueller.
If I could do something besides just teaching, like if I were to go down a different career path, it would definitely be something with doing PD. I would want to stay in education, but I would love being able to provide other resources for educators. I think that like curriculum development or professional development would be like my next go-to route. I've actually been contemplating getting my master's in curriculum and instructional development, and kind of going down that road to see where the future might take me.
I'd say that's probably the most common master's that people get. That's what I have my master's in. It's curriculum and instruction, but that was really helpful when trying to figure out what I wanted to do for this coming year, because I knew I needed a change. I was getting that 8-year itch of being in 5th grade and doing the same thing. And I try to change things up all the time. But when I was talking to my husband, I was like, I would love a job where I went around to all the elementary schools in our district and I trained people on classroom management and like whole school management, because I run the assemblies at our school for behavior. And that's like my jam. Get me in front of hundreds of kids, have them eat out the palm of my hand.
I did the same thing at my last job. We were doing PBIS and I was in charge of the PBIS program there. So that's really cool. Yeah. I've always felt really good with my behavior management. And that's always something that I know a lot of teachers struggle with. So, that could be a whole episode or part of an episode sometime, where we can share those and, our listeners can share their tips with us too. So yeah. That's always fun.
Yeah, I love that.
I, this summer, just decided I'm taking a break. I am not doing any professional development, learning, any of that. I did some last year. I did the Get Your Teacher On. I did some other online ones. But I've had a couple of rough years in the classroom. And this summer, I was like, no, I am taking a break. I'm going to focus on me, have more mental health for me. And then I had the bright idea of starting a podcast. Just running my kids around. My youngest decided he is not a sports kid at all, but he decided he wanted to do soccer. He had his first soccer practice last night, but he did great. And then he's also going to do fall t-ball, which we did t-ball 2 summers ago, and we coached, and it was a nightmare. We had 5 3-year-olds on the team. It was awful. It was like herding cats. Nobody would listen. At one point, my youngest disappeared because he went and followed his dad in the car going to the other baseball field with our oldest. And I was like, where is he at? And I had to leave practice. I'm like, can you take over to a parent and go and find him, chase him down because he was following his dad's car to go to his brother's practice. Oh, dear Lord. So he hated it. So we just didn't go that route with him, and we've focused all the sports stuff on our oldest. But then this year he decided, I'm going to try it out. And I looked at our soccer schedule, which runs all the way to the end of August. And then I haven't even gotten the T-ball schedule, but he'll have T-ball. Our oldest will have ball. I'm like, we're just going to be jam-packed for the next few months. And I don't even know where to fit in, playdates and free time anymore. In 2 weeks, which when everybody listens to this, won't be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That's school's going to be starting back up already. Where did the summer go?
Do you feel rested?
I did. And then, you get that feeling when July hits. For some reason, July just hits and I'm just that you start to creep up with that anxiety again.
Yeah. Do we not do this every year? Every year. And I'm going to get all my laundry done. Well, my family needs to quit wearing clothes because the mountain of laundry is still ginormous. So yet another summer where the laundry is not getting all the way done. We do that, don't we? We say, okay, this summer I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But life happens. Things come up and you just can't, or you don't feel like it. And that's okay too, because we need to recharge also. Teacher burnout is real. I'm sure we've all felt it. I felt it. And Allyson, you do need to take care of yourself. So if not doing PDs this summer helps you heal and prepare, then by all means, you need to do that and not feel guilty about it. And we all need to do those things and not feel guilty about it.
I need to not feel guilty about a laundry list of things at the house that I should have gotten done this summer.
Everyone will still survive,
that I
right?
Did. My young guy moved him down to share a bedroom with his older brother, and we got the bed moved down, but I have not moved any of his clothes. His closet is still upstairs, all his things. And they were asking me the other day, when are we moving his clothes down? I'm like, I don't know.
That's all he needs.
The bed's down there. That's
He just
all that
needs to
matters.
sleep.
Turn the bedroom into my podcast room. So, like, my biggest priority was get my podcast stuff set up, get my little
It'll
cozy nook set up, and then
It'll
everything
come,
else
and
will
then
come.
something else will be on your list. It's never ending. Me too.
I am a list girl. I have to make list upon list because I'm not like diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm truly ADHD.
Me too.
I get so distracted or off topic so easily. Even when I have a list that's prioritized, I find myself doing stuff that's not on the list. I'm like, what am I doing? Stick to the
Me
list.
too. I live by
Stick
the
to the
list
list.
app, the Google Calendar app on my phone, and the alarms. I have so many alarms. Time to go pick up Jacob from karate. Like those types of alarms too, so I don't forget my kid. And I never have, but it might happen.
So besides PD and of course taking time, is anyone like running or training for anything or
Yeah,
just
that's
running
me
for
right
mental
now.
sanity?
That's all I can really handle right now is just running for fitness, running for fun. I'm still trying to lose the postpartum weight after 2 years. So I'm not training for anything right now. But maybe in the spring I might do another half. We'll see. How about you guys?
I think right now I get to run in daylight. During the school year, I do not. During the school year, I start at 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting home and it's still dark. So right now I get to run at 6 o'clock because I can't run too late because in Florida it just gets too hot. Which
hot.
Texas it does too, right, Katie?
Yep.
Yeah. And it's going to be like this for us through October.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get to do that. And then I was thinking about races coming up because it's been a while since I've been in a race. Yeah, it just wasn't on my radar. But I think my next half is going to have to wait until December just because it's too hot
So hot.
to run a race here. And then I'm going to do a marathon, I think, in the springtime. Because again, like I would normally train for a fall marathon in Chicago, and that's in October. Like the Chicago Marathon is Columbus Day weekend every year, and so I would train for that. But like it's just too hot to train here in the summer for a fall marathon, even a winter marathon. It's just too hot. And so I think training for a spring marathon where I can train all winter, where it's pleasant here, is the route that I need to go. Plus, I'm turning 40 next year, so I think it'll be marathon number 3, but like doing a marathon when I'm 40
Let's
feels
do
right.
it together. So I will be turning 40 in like 2 years. And I've done 2 marathons so far. So that would be my third one. We could do it together for 40. We'll meet up. We'll figure out where we're going to do this at.
40 also, but then I was, pregnant. So that shape of my
You were
life,
pregnant. Yeah.
running, so well, and no, it just didn't happen. So, so you never know.
My should have been third marathon. I was pregnant with my oldest. So I had was signed up for a third one up in Michigan and was training. And you know how tedious marathon training is. I ended up getting injured, like minor injury, but enough to it was painful enough that I was not going to run it. So then I was able to defer it for the following year. Well, then following year, I ended up pregnant. I'm like, well, that sucks. I was 5 months pregnant at the time of the marathon, and I wasn't really running as much because I was having some bleeding and some complications at the beginning of the pregnancy. And I was like, I'm not going to train and I'm not going to do this to my body. So I was like, well, do I defer it again? I don't know what they're going to let me do. But luckily, it was Grand Rapids Marathon, and they had an option to do a relay for the marathon. So there was 5 of us that went up, and we each had like a different section of the marathon that we ran. So I ended up doing the last section because I wanted to be able to be the one that finished. Or, there's that joy in there. I was 5 months pregnant. I think I ran like 5 or 6 miles at a faster pace than the boys. And I was hurting though. I was hurting after. I'm like, okay, no, 5 months pregnant running that was probably not the best, but I was determined. I've got that competitive side in me. So, yeah. And I always said I was going to run another marathon after having kids.
I've never run a marathon.
It's just so time consuming.
I don't know if it's on my to-do list. I really
well. So before I ran my first, I was like, I can't do this. What? Like, I'm not, what? And someone was like, why not?
That's exactly
like,
how mine
oh,
went.
okay, let's do it. I trained for the first one in 2020, so we did it virtually. But like someone mapped out all the miles and it was accurate. Like I used Strava and it was accurate. And we just ran all the neighborhoods. This is when I still lived in Chicago. We ran all the neighborhoods around where we lived, and then people would meet us at certain points and run with us for like 3 or 4 miles. And we stopped by, it was me and one other girl, and we stopped by each of our houses and like, you know, so it just, I think that was a cool first marathon to do. And it was timed. It was real. And then the second one I did was Chicago Marathon. So it's possible. You can.
You can.
I had a very similar start to my marathon running because I was running very competitively, like 5K. Like I was fast, I was competitive, like I was in this like running club training thing, getting like awards. I was very competitive. So like longer distances weren't necessarily like on my radar, but I had done some halves. And I remember like I did my half in like what, like 140 something, and I was like, man, I wonder like what. Yeah, I was fast at the time. I do not have that speed anymore. So I was like, I wonder, a lot of people are like, you're a good natural runner, which I was not growing up. I was the chunky little kid growing up. There was no way I'm going to run. If somebody's chasing me, I'm falling to the ground. I'm surrendering. I was not a runner. People like that knew me as a child and now like probably would have never guessed that I would have ran the things that I ran. But they were like, you should do a marathon. Like you're natural. You can do it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And at the time, so I think this was like 2014, my husband and I were just started dating. And my best friend was going through cancer. And I was talking to her about it. She's like, Allyson, what's a couple more miles? And I'm like, it's not necessarily a couple more. But then I was like, you know what? You can go through this battle. You can go through this. I can go through this. So my first marathon, I actually ran for her. My husband and he ran it with me. He did not train at all. Girls, I'm telling you, at mile 17, he ate a Jimmy John's. I don't even know if it was 6-inch or the full 12. He ate a full sup at mile 17. Like we didn't run it to race it. We just ran it to have fun. Like I had like a sign that said like run for a cure for cancer or something like that. Or we love Lindsay. One of our other best friends ran it with us. Like our time was like 5 something. I was like running ahead of him because we don't run at the same pace and then running back. So I definitely ran more than the full marathon. But that's kind of how I got started was because of her. She kind of inspired me to do it. And then my second one that I did, I wanted to get into Chicago, but I didn't. I did Columbus, the Children's Hospital, and that one. So she had actually passed. So I did that one kind of in honor of her as well. Like I love that one because each mile marker had one of their patients and a story behind them, and that one I like actually raced. And I got under 4 hours, which I was super happy. And then I was like, after doing that, I'm like, that was hard. I think I could be done. I got a really good time. I think I could be done. And I don't need to do another one.
But you're going to.
Yeah, she was kind of my inspiration, and she still
That's a great reason
really is
to do one. I don't have a reason like that. I hope I never do, but that's a beautiful way to honor her for sure. And she's watching you do those runs and cheering you on. So that's awesome.
So I'm starting to train for marathon number 23. My first marathon was back in 16? And so I had like moved back from college. I started my first year teaching. My dad was like, hey, I have a charity bid to run Houston Chevron half. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. So it's funny, I look back and I look at all the things like I wore. I wore like the Beats headphones that had the cord attached. And I was like, why did I run with that? Like, what was I thinking? And of course, wearing so much clothing. And I was like, oh, I mean, at least I was running in like decent shoes, but you look back at when you first start running, you're like, what was I thinking? Like, that's way too much clothing. I should not have worn those headphones. And then a year later, I was like, or after that, I was like, okay, I think I want to do it full. And so I signed up for Chevron Full that next year. And so my first full was in 2017. And then I drank the
You
Kool-Aid.
did.
And I ran 6 marathons for the next year, like within a 12-month span.
Okay, so that initially does sound crazy, but you're trained.
I was trained, but looking back at it now, I was also like 23, 24. And so a 23,
true.
24-year-old body could just be like, boom, bounce back and go. Now, no, we're talking like over 10 years later. I'm like, yeah, I think 1's good for the year, maybe 2. That's it.
Yeah. But honestly, like part of the training like is for us, but everyone else is involved in the training. Like because you have to take so much care in actually doing it. You know, like on Friday nights, I'd be like, sorry, we can't go out. We have to have this dinner so that I am ready for a long run on Saturday morning. And, you know, it just takes a lot out of family.
My husband probably got me through 21 of my 22 marathons. Like, he cooks really well, and so he'd meal prep all my food. He knows that I like get up in the morning and go. I mean, he would just take care of so much. And so like but he's just recently started running. And so he's kind of like understanding that runner's high. He's like, oh, I understand kind of like why you like this.
So he just recently started running, but you said he owns the running store, I thought, right?
No, he doesn't own the running store.
Okay.
He's like a
That's
assistant
ironic.
manager. But yeah.
Okay. Did he start that then after he got into running?
That was kind of how he got into running. Because he was like, well, if
Okay.
I'm working in a running shoe store and I'm selling these people these shoes, I kind of need to know how they feel for myself. And I was like, no, you do. Because he could just take what I said about the shoe, but he also has a variety of people that come in. He's like, well, what if like the big tall guy or, you know, heavy set guy, or what if this other woman comes in and she doesn't want that? And because everyone's foot's different. And so he was like, I kind of want to feel the shoe myself so he can give like a better insight to it. So, but no, he, like when you say family, like he really has supported me through like almost every single one of them.
That's awesome. And I think that's why I enjoy the summer break time for my running, because I'm not so bombarded or burned out, whatever, in the summer or the school dredge. Whereas in the summer, like my boys still go to the sitter a couple days out of the week, which that gives me time to go out and get some runs in, or I can do longer runs. And I don't feel guilty because I feel like during the school year, I don't get my runs in until they're in bed, and then it's the treadmill. Like, and there's nothing wrong with the treadmill. I get to multitask. I can read, or I can watch a TV episode, and I can.
Same.
That's
Me
not
too.
the only time I ever watch TV is if I'm on the treadmill. But then if I want to do a weekend run, if I want to run outside, I have to take that time away from my family. And then I feel guilty that my husband's like, oh, well, here's another Saturday, or here's another whatever that you're out running. And it's hard. It's, you know, it takes away from your family. Like I've done a couple halves since having the boys, and it's just hard to find that time to go out and to get those miles, because it's important that you get them, because if you don't, you're gonna be injured.
Even on Saturday mornings, I still try to get out there. If I'm doing a lot of miles, I still try to get out there at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, because there's just stuff going on, and I feel a lot better if I'm running while everyone else is sleeping. And if I come home and the kids are watching TV or having breakfast or whatever, and they're still my kids are late sleepers. But, you know, if I come home and they're just about waking up, I'm like, okay, like now I have to get through, like, I feel like that was the easy part of my day. Now we have to get through the rest of it. But, you know, it's just that's how I've gotten rid of any sort of guilt of going out for a run. I just get up, and even on vacation, probably not this one, but even on vacation, like last year we went to Hilton Head, and I got up to see the sunrise every day because A, that's cool, and B, like then I didn't feel guilty about taking time away from vacation when I would get back and everyone was just waking up, and I'd be like, yeah, I just went and ran a 10K or I walked a 10K or whatever. And I was like, and now everyone's eating breakfast. So like, okay, cool. Now let's start our day. But that's like the balance of summer, is getting to do those sorts of things and just enjoying running a lot more.
A little slower paced, no pun intended, but I mean, your life is a little bit slower paced too. It's nice. And teachers definitely need this time because, like you said, we're using our Saturdays or, time with our family during the school years. It is nice to have a slower pace so we can get stuff in, like running or exercising or reading or whatever, just relaxing.
So besides like taking care of ourselves, has anyone been up to their classroom?
I went in the other day only because I had a vision for my teacher table, and I was going to make my husband build me a desk, and he kind of rolled his eyes when I told him that. I was like, oh, I have another project for you.
Husbands.
Gotta love the husbands who get brought into all these teacher projects. I saw a desk arrangement, and I was like, I'm going to go in and set up my desk while it's fresh in my mind. And then for like my teacher table, we've got like the kidney tables, but I just feel like with the older kids, you get 6 of them over there and their space is so crowded. Yeah. So I wanted to do more of like almost like the L-shaped desk, but it makes like 2 long with 1 in the middle. So I was going to have them build one, and then our custodian was in that day, and she's like, oh, have you seen the new art tables? So last year for our PTC, I helped do a readathon for our school, and we raised over $12,000 and were able to get a book vending machine. And so this year we did it again, and we got enough money for the art room to have a kiln, but we had a ton of extra money. So like she got all new tables. Each table, like they're round tables, and each table is a different color. And she got all these like cool, colorful wobble stools. So it's going to look super cool, like when the kids walk in there and see all the colors. Because before, the tables that were in there were like the old science type tables. So I was like, what are they doing with these tables? And there were a couple that were like the size of what I was looking at. So I reached out to my boss, and she's like, well, nobody's claimed them. Like, you can take them. I'm like, okay. So I brought them into my room. Like, I pushed them down and set them up because I'm like, I might as well see if I like it, first of all. And then I still may have my husband make me one because I want it to be a tiny bit smaller than the dimensions of these tables because they do take up quite a bit of room. But I did stop in the other day. Other than that, I've not thought about school.
Yeah, I don't have to do that this year, but I would go in as early as July because I only had little chunks of time. So if I had an hour in the evening, I would go. But yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. My classroom is here. So that's going to be different for sure.
Wanted to go in. I'm like, I want to go in. There's like a reel that I saw that's like, I don't like elementary teachers. They go in the day after school is over and they're already setting up their classroom for the next year. They make everyone else look bad. I like have a new space and a new theme to my classroom, and I put it away somewhere so it wouldn't get lost, but I got like a new lanyard and it matches my theme, and I haven't been able to get in there. But when we get back from vacation, I was like, I at least need to place everything around the classroom because I'm like not anxious, but overwhelmed with, I don't know what our pre-plan week is going to look like. And if it's all filled with meetings, like we have Meet the Teacher the Thursday before school starts, and you have to have your room ready and organized because once that happens, you have to hit the ground running. And so I'm like, I need to get in, even if it's only for a couple of hours, but we can only be there when the custodians are there. I don't know if anyone's like would go in over the weekend, but my first year, my principal was like, you're going to want to know the alarm code because you're going to want to come in over the weekend. And I thought to myself, oh, okay. And so I did. But I was single. I mean, I may have been dating my husband, but like I had no commitments. I was working at the Park District building that was across the way. Like I could go in on the weekends, but now I'm like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to be efficient, and we're going to get it done. And that's it.
So I'm doing the opposite. I'm going in tomorrow and about to purge the last 10 years of like classroom. And so I invited like my really good teacher friends. And I said, okay, I'm going to be up there tomorrow packing and purging. And I said, come raid and pick through the things. Cause I always like really took care of my room. I had the twinkly lights. I always tried to make it feel very homey. And so there's a lot of good stuff, but now with this new role, I'll have an office and I'll be mobile most of the time. And so really, I'm just taking like a few things from my classroom and the rest can go out. So I went up today and I like opened all the cabinets just kind of looking and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much. And I only have tomorrow because I have to report to administration building Monday for this position. And so I was like, okay, I have tomorrow and that's it.
It's insane how little time they give teachers to either set up when they're hired on last minute or like when you're leaving. It's like, okay, you've got this one day to get everything out. I'm like, you have years upon years of stuff in there. I remember moving from first grade to fourth grade. I was like, oh dear goodness gracious. Like I just have so much crap. But it was nice because I've heard so much. I got to that mentality where if I haven't used it in the past year, get rid of it. I try to do that now in my room just so it doesn't
good to be
build
like,
up.
nope, don't need this.
It is. So it is nice to have a fresh start.
No, my district's good. Like I'm sure if I asked for more time, they would give it to me. But I think just personally, I want to get it done so I can like focus on this next chapter. So, but no, I do agree. Like we've moved people before on our district or our campus, and like you give them a day and a half, and I feel terrible because I'm like, oh my gosh, I only give them a day and a half, and then I say we got to go straight into PD, and I'm like, sorry.
Good idea.
I try to purge every year, but then I moved classrooms. I'm like, how did I accumulate all of this? Where did this come from? What was I thinking?
All right. So before we go, let's talk about one win that we had or we may have for the week, just to kind of wrap up our summer, right?
Okay, Katie, why don't you go ahead and start?
My one win is that I'm kind of done with PDs or trainings, at least for a couple weeks. Even though I'm starting in my new role, I've got some time to just kind of like decompress on training and just focus on
my win for the week. So I talked earlier in the episode about going for the professional development workshop this weekend, but then on Sunday my family's going to come and meet me there and we're going to stay the whole week. So I made a cute little itinerary for us because there's so much that we're doing that to cut down on the pressure of figuring out where do we go next. I have an itinerary and Canva is my dear, dear friend. We love Canva.
We do.
Canva is the best. I would say my win this week would be getting my youngest to actually play a sport. He went to his first soccer practice and he actually participated the whole time. He didn't complain. He was having fun. So that was definitely fun to see him doing something active. He's more of an artsy kid. And actually one of our best friends, her little boy plays on this team, and he came over and he's like, I'm tired. I was like, yes, it wasn't my kid that said it first. So that was a win that he actually was involved and had fun in a sport. Thanks for coming along for our episode today and sipping and sharing a moment with us. We can't wait to keep showing up with each of you each week. Messy, caffeinated, and real. And if you liked what you heard, we'd be so grateful if you would follow, subscribe, or share this with your teacher bestie, your mom group, or your running partner, or all three. It helps more people find our little corner of chaos and connection.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Espresso Yourself Podcast. Go ahead and just give us feedback. Tell us what you like. share some funny stories with us. Maybe we'll highlight you one week. But find us on Instagram.
Make sure to hit follow so you don't miss next week's episode. Until next time, keep showing up.
Keep giving yourself grace.
And espresso yourself.
One sip at a time.